Welcome to VGK Today, a daily podcast providing you an inside look at the Vegas Golden Knights 2025 Stanley Cup playoff run. I'm Justin Russo with the Golden Knights on Tuesday, April 22nd, with the Golden Knights preparing for Game 2 of their first round series with the Wild tonight at T-Mobile Arena at 8 p.m. And yes, I did say 8 p.m. Be sure to note that start time that is later than the normal 7 p.m. start time for tonight. Whether you are coming to the game or just tuning in from home, 8 p.m. start for Game 2 between the Golden Knights and the Minnesota Wild. Now, the Knights already have a 1-0 series lead thanks to a 4-2 win in Game 1 on Sunday, and they will aim to deliver another victory for the home fans before the series shifts to Minnesota for Game 3 coming up on Thursday. While the Knights held just an optional skate on Monday with limited participation, we did get to hear from some pretty important people to speak on Game 1 and talk about where the team is at overall. So when we come back from the break, we'll hear from Golden Knights General Manager Kelly McCrimmon and Head Coach Bruce Cassidy. Golden Knights fans, you can experience the excitement of playoff hockey firsthand with a limited number of tickets still available at the Fortress. Visit VegasGoldenKnights.com to learn more. You can also check out the Vegas Nighthawks, who are back at Lee's Family Forum on May 3rd and May 10th. Catch the fast-paced, family-friendly action of indoor football with tickets available at nighthawksfootball.com. All right, so first up, let's hear from Kelly McCrimmon, who spoke to Daren Millard and Ryan Wallis on Monday during his weekly spot on the VGK Insider Show.
I would like to know right off the bat, just your assessment of your team healthy last night in what was, I thought, a comfortable win. How did you view it?
Well, anytime the opponent has the goalie out and it's a one-goal game, I don't know that I would call that comfortable. I felt we had played well and liked a lot of things about our game, but that's what playoff hockey is, and it's interesting just, being the first game, just that realization that this is different than regular season. When you go to overtime, there's a winner and a loser. There's not everybody going home with points. So, it was a really good start for us. I think the game was in many respects about what we expected of Minnesota, probably about what they expected of us. Looks to me like it's going to be a close matchup, and we hope that some of those areas of our team that we feel we're strong at, that they can carry the day and help us get to 4 wins. So. We've got one down, and we'll get reset for tomorrow.
Yeah, Kelly, Victor Olofsson made his playoff debut. He waited a long time, obviously, to get there for the first time. What did you make of his game last night?
Well, Victor's played really well down the stretch, and that line has created some really good chemistry. Riley Smith has got more and more comfortable as a Golden Knight. It wasn't automatic when he got here. He was good when he first got here with us, but I just think he's elevated his game. William Karlsson, with his injury behind him, is skating so much like we're used to seeing. And then Victor, I thought, complemented the line quite well. So it had to be exciting for him last night. I go back 2 years, Jack Eichel's first playoff game, I think he was in his 8th season, and he was -3 on an opening night loss to the Winnipeg Jets. So it does take a while to settle in and get your feet under you as to what playoff hockey is going to be. And I think, I've heard Bruce comment on it. The games are harder for sure. They're more physical for sure. But you still need to play to what your strengths are. And I think that what we like about the Karlsson line is, very dependable two-way players that we can throw over the boards against anybody. And then a little bit of a different look from some of the other lines. Last night I thought the Hurdle line and the Nick Wall line really kind of carried the day for us. They played really strong, and that's not to say that the Eichel line or the Karlsson line didn't, but I really liked what Saad, I thought, played really well. Hurdle, Pav, those guys were good. Nick Wall, I thought, had a really good game. Howden scored a really big goal for us. Keegan Colasar, I thought, was really solid. So those guys, I felt really had good game ones, and that's one of the things that we consider a strength to our team is, we've got 4 lines that, on any given night can really make a contribution.
You had mentioned when the trade was made for Tomas Hertl, that if he played for the Vegas Golden Knights the way that he played for the San Jose Sharks, you were going to win a lot of games. When you look at Hertl's performance last night, is that pretty much the expectation that Hertl is right there close to that game breaker that he was with San Jose?
Yeah, I think his whole season has been that way. Really, certainly the second half of the year as he developed chemistry with Saad, Dorofeev. They played really well together, and Thomas was over 30 goals, over 30 assists, over 60 points. Really a big part of our power play, which was the best that we've ever seen as an organization. So he's got great value, and I did make the comment when we traded for him that I hope he played as well for us as he did against us. And I think how he's playing right now, he's doing the things that made him such a really good NHL player.
Kelly pretty pleased with how things went on Sunday and feeling good about where the team is at heading into Game 2. Giving some praise, of course, at the end there to Tomas Hertl, to Victor Olofsson, and really just the Knights' depth overall shining through in Game 1. Kelly is feeling good, and so too is Bruce Cassidy, who spoke to the media on Monday at City National Arena.
Now that you have a game under your belt in the playoffs, postseason mode, the depth, does it remind you, was there anything last night similar in being able to roll four lines confidently against any one of theirs, your depth in general?
Yeah, it's been that way this is the third playoff. And I will go back, we had a few more injuries last year, different pieces moving around in and out. It was a little more Carrier, Colasar, Watt 2 years ago, and I think Will had 18 goals, right, or something like that, 16. So, and Nick had his goals, and I think Coley was maybe a little lighter than this year, but they're very effective for us. So we wanted the same thing last year, and I'm certainly not saying anything about our fourth line. We just didn't quite get over the hump to get going and get on that roll where your fourth line can wear teams down. So that's something we hope we can do going forward this year. So it starts with Game 1. We got that under our belt. Game 2, hopefully more of the same. I think last night talking about the minutes, right? If Jackson doesn't have to play 22 minutes every night for us to win, that's going to keep him fresher as we go along here and give us, I think, good opportunity to have better matchup situations.
Is there something to be said for you and your staff since you've gotten here in back-to-back games against the exact same team, or in Game 2 only, a playoff series, you're 8-2 overall?
What the hell are we thinking the other two games? That's what I'm thinking.
Especially one was a playoff game, so be wary. But is it something that you do and you see that you found a knack for doing?
Well, one of the things I enjoy about coaching, especially this time of year, is the chess matches, so to speak, right after a game. Okay, what do we see? What did we see going in that changed? For example, early in the game against us earlier this year, Minnesota's D did not pinch very often on any breakouts. Last night, the first period, they were up on our winger. So right away, we're like, hey guys, disregard what we talked about for half an hour 2 days ago. They're coming. So, which is okay. I mean, we deal with that all year. So this isn't like some foreign concept, but it's like not what we game plan for. So, hey, you're going to have to counter pinch their D, battle up higher, deal with the D as opposed to their high forward during the season who was tracking you from laterally as opposed to D coming right on you. So how you position yourself to receive a puck around the boards, you got to get back into sort of playing against pinch mode. So, these are things we'll be able to do and adjust. But I guess getting, to your question, so I enjoy days like today where we look at the game from yesterday and see things that maybe you didn't see in real time. And, okay, this is a couple things we need to do without overloading your group. Because if you all of a sudden say, here's 10 things we need to do, they're going to look at you like, we just won. Like, what are you doing now, changing everything? So it's not about that. It's little tweaks here and there that maybe some face-off plays. Eck was very good in the circle. They run a lot of face-off plays. So it's okay, what are we going to do to counter that? If we do win one, counter their aggressiveness, what they want, whatever. Little things like that sometimes can give you a little bit of an edge here or there. So I don't know, or just our players respond well. It's usually the case with anything of these stats. It usually means you have good players.
You guys blocked 25 shots last night. Was that a plan going in? You wanted to really make sure you're getting in the way of shots?
It always is for us. I think our guys take a lot of pride in that. There are special team situations where we do, position ourselves so we're taking away parts of the net so our goalie can take care of other parts of it on certain situations. But yeah, we want to block shots whenever we can. Sometimes to a fault, it means you lose your gap a little bit, but I'll take that competitiveness any day and just keep working on our gap control to kill plays earlier if we can.
Adjustments is something we hear about all the time, and like for you, do you take a couple notes during a game or after, like that process for you? How does it start? And just kind of take us through how you make an adjustment.
Well, it starts in the live. I mean, the first shift of the game, Brodeen's down pinching Barbashev, I think, or second shift, whatever it was. Same with, might have been against Olofsson too. So right away, it's like, okay, they've changed their tactics in terms of how they played us during the season. Different personnel was available to them, whatever. So that and timeouts, you write some of that stuff down. Try to go down to the coaches at each end, say, hey, careful of this. We got to create the battle higher, tell the forwards. Johnny, it's like, well, they're taking away the walls, so the D should be thinking about more misdirection plays. The rim won't be there, and that's it. They and then it's between periods on the board once. But I guess I would say I'd prefer to not wait to between periods. We can get it done at a timeout, sort of get that messaging out. That's how I look at it, and then it could change the next period, right? But that's what we do, and it's not 10 things, Gary. It can't be for the players. It's usually maybe one thing in each zone, if that, right? Okay, neutral zone, they were fairly passive 1-2-2, so let's go. Let's attack that first guy and at least get the red. From there, if nothing's open, it's in behind them, we start our forecheck. So those are the things you look for. Maybe an area, something with the puck in each zone. Or it could be something away from the puck. Maybe our forecheck, our second guy's late on the neutral zone a lot. On the D-to-D, we're passive, waiting at our blue line. That happens to us. Sometimes we're at the red line, we don't have our legs, so it's like, come on, guys, like second guy jump. And we know that going in against Minnesota, that's important to us because they like to go D-to-D, so let's put a little pressure on them. So some of them are made even ahead of time, but a lot of them, in the moment. Try to get your message across when you have their attention, which is hard in the middle of the action, right? They're recovering from a shift, so it's timeouts and between periods.
What about game over game? Like when you drive home last night, where there may be a few things bouncing around in your head, and then after you watch the game a couple more times? So
today we had the D in for a couple of things. Pace, right? A couple examples where when we moved our feet a little quicker, we got some opportunities off the rush. We did, and we slowed the game down. It was tougher. It was forecheck. Didn't hurt us, but we only got a forecheck out of it. Let's give ourselves both. So, but then it's individual. Today, the coaches with the players. Tomorrow, we'll revisit our review of what we feel the 3 or 4 things we did well and what we need to adjust. Because today I thought, okay, they've been here 3 days. There's been a lot of, for game one, there's a lot of, anxiety, preparation. You're excited. Now that game one's behind us, get out of the rink today, go enjoy the day, spend time with your kids, cleanse the hockey mind, and tomorrow let's start thinking about Minnesota again. So I don't think you can think about a team, 24 hours a day as a player. Coaches do because, we're always thinking of stuff, but I think players need a break.
Bruce fully focused on some of those adjustments and what he needs to do to get the team prepared for Game 2, and we'll see if it comes to fruition at the Fortress tonight. Bruce was a busy man on Monday, and after he spoke to the media, he joined Darren Millard and Daren Eliot over on Nighttime at Noon, where he had some additional thoughts on Game 1, the playoffs overall, and the openness that he has with the media.
Victor Olofsson, he had it going last night for a while on that line. Just looks like he's found a home.
I think he's very comfortable in that line and what that line is trying to represent for us, which is pace, forecheck with your feet and stick. They're not big physical guys, so he's complemented by Smitty and Carly that way. Defensive assignments. We didn't know coming over from Buffalo, right, like how that would translate, the checking game. And I say that because the stats sometimes when you're not on a winning team can work against you. That's all. And you don't know, is it true or is it a product of the team, is it a product of the individual? So he comes over and he's been a good checking responsible forward since he's gotten here. He knows the game. And like most Swedish players seem to really been brought up that way to really understand the 200-foot game. And so he's going to, and we know Smitty and Carly can do that. They've been doing it for years. So I think that's the fit there. And he's a shooter, and those two like to make plays. So he can play to his strength, too, on the offensive side of things.
But you mentioned the defensive side of things. That's a top matchup line when you have the ability to do that?
Yes. We started them yesterday against Eriksson Ek, and they may see a lot of that matchup. Right. Now, we probably played every line against that line at times, so it's not set in stone. But that's Carly's some of his best value in the playoffs. Right. If he can neutralize the top line, it gives us an advantage to the other line. Now, that line got 2 goals last night. Not putting it on any particular line or deep pair, but in general, that's an advantage we see we could use, and we'll exploit it again and again until it doesn't work for us.
You put your deep pairs back to what we saw at the start of the season with Hanifin and Pietrangelo and Whitecloud and Haig. A little bit of a different look from the start of the game.
Yeah, we just did that to annoy the broadcasters so we can make their notes.
You should see us scrambling up there.
Oh my gosh!
Is it a change?
No,
they are together.
Is it a line change?
No, we had a little chat before the game. Johnny runs a D, John Stevens, and said, "What about this? So we can get our deep, without getting too much into our deep pair with our forward line that we prefer as well, and then still get the matchup against." So we just made a switch, and you'll probably see that one happen quite a bit. And it's not new to the pairs, right? Like Nabber and Theo, if we started messing with them maybe a little bit, but they've been together. But Hager's played with Whitecloud a lot, Hanifin's played with Petro, so it's an easy switch that way. And neither pair should be sort of saying, well, wait a minute, what's going on all of a sudden? It's a simple explanation. Let's go play.
Well, you made a joke about the media. I got to ask you, because you're so good with us and with the media, and your answers are so insightful, your post-game. Media approach over the years, how has it changed as a coach?
I've tried not to change. I've always tried to answer a question honestly and respectfully. Some of them, listen, there's going to be times during the year that catch you on a bad day where you're annoyed about something, but I try not to take it out on them. And I'll tell you why. Especially the guys that are there every day, they got to grind. They grind like we do. They're there every day. They got to write about something or talk about something. So, I listen, I appreciate that. I'm a hockey junkie, and they're out there trying to do their part. So that's how I feel about it.
We appreciate it, by the way.
Yeah, and sometimes honesty can bite you, if you're a little bit. So I've tried to temper maybe some of that when it comes to maybe an individual play or not. But I still, in my brain, I'm just going over the play. It's not personal. You know what I mean? When it comes, and then they'll be like, well, you kind of gave it to this player. I'm like, well, I was just describing the play, what happened. Didn't mean anyway. And then you're kind of, you
have good recall. I can't believe how much you come back and everything is from the bench, because sometimes you don't have the best view from behind the bench.
No, I guess I was blessed with that. I got a memory, so I'll try to hang on. But they say crossword puzzles has a lot to do with it. I did them for years.
You went down that path again the other day.
Someone asked me that. I haven't done them in a while, and I kind of missed them, to be honest with you. So anyway, so that's my with the media. I've always felt well, and I like to talk hockey too. So it's not like I'm sitting there looking at my watch. Hey, it's 5 minutes. I got to get. I don't mind. I don't mind talking hockey. Yeah.
Been a lot of goals so far in the playoffs.
Yes, and our game I think went as I thought it would. I don't think there's going to be a high scoring series. I don't anticipate that if teams stay true to form. I think the Winnipeg St. Louis could be. I think both those teams are. Although Winnipeg is, St. Louis really tightened it up the second half of the year. Winnipeg is tight. But I just have a feeling there could be goals in that series. Colorado, you're going to have to score some to beat them. So, what was the other series? Toronto and Ottawa. I don't think that's going to be that high scoring. I don't think we'll see another 6-2, personally. What was the other? Carolina?
Carolina 4-1, and Carolina had 40 shots.
Well, that's
they
Carolina.
Always do, yeah.
That's anything at the net there towards the net is a shot. So I heard Sheldon Keefe after says you can't watch the shot clock in Carolina. He's right. You just can't. Now they are a high volume shooting team, so they're always going to be up there. Yeah. But it's like you look up and there's 3 or 4 more every time, no matter what goes on there. So you got to be don't let that kind of cloud your judgment on how your team's playing sometimes there.
How much did Tomas Hertl look different than he did in Game 1 last year, or start of the playoffs?
Well, significantly different simply because of he was recovering from an injury first, only played, I think, 4 games, was in a new position. He was playing left wing, then center. Stevie were moving them. So he was trying to find his way in a team, find his own personal game, play Vegas Knights hot. You know what I mean? After being so long in San Jose, there's there's things you got to think through. So he's had now a full year to adjust to that. So I think he'd be the first to tell you it's probably just more comfortable in his own skin in every area.
And comfortable. Saad comes in. Dorfier's been with him all year. That trio seems pretty comfortable.
This year is just one of those, like the 2 new guys. Saad comes in, and it's like, okay, you think, okay, we're going to play here, here, here. You slide him in, and it's a fit. It's a fit right away. Smitty, we kind of knew he could play with Carly, so
took longer than you thought. Maybe.
No matter where we put him, we knew we could go back to that. And
right.
So there's your 2 new acquisitions that are in fairly quickly. So, whereas I think last year it took a little longer with Mantha was new, and then with Hertl's injury.
Right.
So that's not an excuse. That's just a reality that in close games and tight games, a little bit of familiarity can go a long way to make an extra play or 2.
Where can you be better or tighter tomorrow night?
Off the rush with Kaprizov's line, we had numbers on both goals, and they found the weak side eventually, so we have to be mindful of that. We can be better with getting pucks to the net for second chances with our layered tipping, so to speak. One guy at the net front, one in the slot. I thought Minnesota does a real good job of recovering back to the house. They're like us that way. They try to get back to the slot first and work from there. So to recover pucks there, you need someone in the slot, not 2 guys in front of the goalie, right? Like sometimes, let's get to the net. Okay, yes, but we need someone in the slot to recover pucks because all their guys are there. So we need to be spaced a little better. Those are a couple of the areas. There's always other things. Face off. We weren't strong in the circle last night. Minnesota during the season didn't have great numbers, yet Eck misses 40-some games, and he's the driver of their. Would he take 30 draws?
Yeah.
So those numbers maybe you can't completely go on and say, well, they're not that good at it. Well, they miss him when he's out. But that's an area. Then okay, if we're not going to be. We're going to win then what are we doing? How can we cover it quicker and get a puck back? So let's be jumping on defense to get a puck back or helping on the 50-50 ones.
You talk about being a hockey junkie. I'm going to go back to during the playoffs. How much is it? Can you still be a fan and watch the other series?
Yeah. I do. I watch I'm watching it, first of all, the other night when it started to see how the officials are calling the game. First and foremost, are they tight? And there was penalties. Was penalties, so we expected penalties. We also got 2 teams that don't take a lot with us in Minnesota, so I wasn't surprised. You can always argue they missed 1 or 2 here or there, but I don't think you'd say, oh, geez, they let everything go last night. Then tonight I will probably tune into a few of the games as well. L.A. and Edmonton for sure, because we're anticipating playing the winner of that if we take care of our business. So get a head start on watching that. The early games, Washington, Montreal. Who's the other early one? Is it Winnipeg again in St. Louis?
Yep.
Anyway, there's no shortage.
We get 4
Great
time
of year.
Great time of year.
If I can win the remote in the house, I'm all set.
Do you have your own TV, or do you have to negotiate that?
That's personal information, Darren. We have a couple TVs in the house, and Cole loves hockey, so there's a 50-50 chance right there we'll get one of the TVs. I don't care which one, to be honest. So, yes, we will get one of the TVs.
Sorry to pry. I apologize.
Okay. I'm not sure what's on at that hour for the ladies. Shannon's not much into TV, I got to say. That's more Julie's thing. So, teenage girls, they're up in their room and they're,
watch TV, they watch their laptop.
YouTube.
It's TikTok, it's FaceTime with their friends and stuff like that. So you don't have to usually fight with Shannon for the TV.
You're a big TikToker, right?
I get sent TikToks by my kids, and that's it. I don't have the app. I thought it went silent. Is it back?
It's back. It's back. Good luck tomorrow night. Congratulations on the Game 1 win.
All right, thanks.
Thanks for doing this as always.
So Coach not exactly in the know on TikTok, but I think we'll give him a pass since, well, he's been pretty busy since last October with his day job. So some good fun there with Bruce as the mood is focused but light heading into Game 2 against the Wild. We'll step aside, and when we come back, we'll hear what Brayden McNabb had to say on Monday before we recap the Stanley Cup playoff action from last night. A reminder for you Golden Knights fans, you can stream all the first-round games on Nighttime Plus on your phone, tablet, or smart TV for just $19.99 with the All-In for the Realm offer. Visit VegasGoldenKnights.com for details. Also, stay tuned for details on official watch parties when the Golden Knights hit the road. It's the best way to experience the excitement of the Fortress while the guys are battling in Minnesota. So you get two avenues there, whether it's Nighttime Plus or the official VGK watch parties. Stay tuned for details on both as the Knights head off to Minnesota starting on Thursday for Game 3. Okay, so we've heard from the GM, we've heard from the head coach, so now let's get a player's perspective on where the Knights stand. So here's Brayden McNabb with the media on Monday afternoon.
Bruce was asked this the other day about 82 three straight seasons. What do you attribute that to in terms of how you do that?
I mean, a lot of luck goes into it, I think. I prepare myself every off season and in season, to perform. And, luckily I've stayed away from the injuries and knock on wood, and try and keep that going forward.
Brayden, last night I think they out-hit you guys 2-1, but it's a style of play that you guys obviously can sustain, whether it's up-tempo but also physical. Do you like that mix of play to respond to?
Yeah, I mean, they got some guys who are bigger, heavier, and like to finish their checks, and we're a big group, and if we have the puck, it's hard to hit, right, at the same time, so we're going to finish our checks when it's appropriate. Physicality picks up on both sides, and they'll finish their checks. We know it, but and we'll do the same. So it's just kind of that time of year.
Obviously, you got to be wary of their top line. They got both of their goals last night, but it didn't seem like it was anything that they did. You guys had numbers back, and it just seemed like they took advantage. Is there anything that you can tweak going into tomorrow?
Yeah, they're a great line. They can create off the rush, in zone, all sorts of ways, and you can't give them much. You saw last night they thread the needle there on the first goal, and they can finish around the net. So it takes all five guys. Got to know when they're on the ice. Take away their time and space like any top line, and try and frustrate them as much as we can.
You and Shea have been partners pretty much all 8 years you guys have been here together. What is it about his game? Because there's such a contrast in styles between you and him. So is that why you guys are so successful together, or is there something else?
Yeah, maybe. I think we complement each other well. Obviously, he's a tremendous player, and I just like to help him out so he's playing at his potential, and he's going, as a pair, we're pretty good when he's on top of his game. So, I think I allow him to get up the ice, and he has the confidence to get up the ice when he can. We've been pretty clean breaking out for the most part. It's been good. It's been, we've been together for a while, and we know each other very well, and we communicate well, which goes a long ways when we're out there.
You mentioned 3 years in a row, and there's a lot of luck involved. How many times would you guess that you've had some close calls where you thought, I might not be able to play through this?
Yeah, maybe. Yes and no, I guess. There's definitely times where you're sore, but not hurt. But that's just the way it is. So, there's some you block shots in certain areas where it's uncomfortable, but at the end of the day, if you're good to play, I'm going to play.
Brayden, since Bruce got here, this team is 8-2 in the second game of a back-to-back against the same opponent, whether it's regular season or game 2 of playoff series. Is that say something toward the cerebral part of this group, the adjustments being able to be made from one game right to the next, from a player standpoint?
Yeah, he's a great coach, obviously. He's proven that. But yeah, he can adjust. He sees the game very well. He can look at a game after a game and see what they're going to do and what we need to do to counteract that. So he's been great like that. He's been doing that since he's been here, and it shows.
Brayden, such a reliable player for Vegas, and was a key part of that Game 1 win with some great defending, shot blocking, and physicality on Sunday. All things that we have come to know Brayden McNabb for over the course of his time with the VGK. Before we end the show today, let's quickly recap a very fun night of hockey in some of the other Stanley Cup playoff series on Monday. 2 overtime games and 2 other 1-goal games in a wild slate across both conferences. First up, let's talk Winnipeg and St. Louis. The whiteout was back in Winnipeg as the Jets aimed to take a 2-0 series lead, and that they did, defeating the Blues 2-1 in a low-scoring affair, which really we have expected to see from Winnipeg all along. Mark Scheifele and Kyle Connor struck for the home side, while rookie Jimmy Snuggerud found the back of the net for St. Louis. The Blues overall just struggled to find as much success against Jets goaltender Connor Hellebuck that they did in Game 1, as the American netminder stopped 21 of 22 shots to secure the victory. In Washington, D.C., the Capitals and Canadiens kicked off their first-round series, and early on, it was all Washington. Alex Ovechkin scored a power play goal late in the first before Anthony Beauvillier struck in the middle frame to give the Capitals a 2-0 lead heading into the third period. Montreal, though, woke up over the final 20, getting 2 goals in just about 5 minutes, one from Cole Caulfield and another from Nick Suzuki that forced overtime. In the extra frame, a clairvoyant Sean McDonough, who had the call for ESPN, perfectly teed up the game winner.
Well, there are a few things that Ovechkin hasn't done, not many, but he's never scored an overtime game-winning goal in the playoffs.
Really interesting here. He's on the shooting spot on the left wing. The Canadians have Demidov and Laine on the ice, a rookie and a player not known for his defensive play.
The puck is free, and a great chance for Beauvillier. Ovechkin scores! Now he has that playoff overtime goal. What else can he do? Washington wins 3-2.
Well, just another accomplishment on the resume of Alexander Ovechkin as his dream season continues, and the Capitals take a 1-0 series lead. And an interesting stat from David Pagnotta, who pointed out that Anthony Beauvillier, who picked up the assist on that Ovechkin goal, is now the only person ever in the same season to assist on a Sidney Crosby and an Alexander Ovechkin goal. Of course, Beauvillier traded earlier this season from Pittsburgh to Washington, and he now has that distinction, assisting on goals for Sidney Crosby and Alexander Ovechkin in the same season. Always love those fun stats we get to pull at any time of the year, but especially fun in the postseason. And if those games weren't fun enough, the drama kicked into high gear later on with the final 2. First up, we go to Dallas, where the Stars look to battle back after losing Game 1 on home ice to the Avalanche. After the teams traded power play goals in the first period, the Avs once again carried a lead into the third thanks to goals from Logan O'Connor and Jack Drury. Former Golden Knight Evgeny Dadonov tied things midway through the final frame, though, and sent us to overtime. In overtime, the back-and-forth affair ended nearly 18 minutes in as Colin Blackwell grabbed his own rebound and buried a second-chance shot by Mackenzie Blackwood to lift the Stars to the victory. And you never know who will be the hero in overtime. That was Colin Blackwell's first playoff game with the Dallas Stars. And Blackwell had just 6 goals in 63 regular season games this year with Dallas, but he made the right play at the right time to send the Dallas faithful home happy. Last, but certainly not least, was the absolute thriller from Los Angeles as the Kings hosted the Edmonton Oilers. And if you're listening to this the morning after and you're thinking I'm crazy because you turned that game off early, how could that have been a thriller? Well, sit down because there was a lot that you missed in that third period in that game. It was all Kings early in this one. This one looked to be a blowout in the first 40 minutes as the Kings swarmed the Oilers and built a 4-0 lead toward the end of that middle frame. But with just 6 seconds to go in the second period, Leon Draisaitl broke that goose egg for Edmonton, setting up an insane third period. The Oilers made it 4-2 quickly in the third, but they fell behind again 5-2 on a Kevin Fiala goal for LA. Then we had some magic happen for Edmonton. Corey Perry struck back, made it a 5-3 game 7 minutes into the final frame. And in the dying minutes, the Oilers came to life. Zach Hyman scored with 2 minutes and 4 seconds left in the game, and just 36 seconds later, who else but Connor McDavid stunned the home crowd with a goal through the 5-hole of Darcy Kemper to miraculously tie the game. Well, the bad news for Connor and Edmonton, though, is that they would be the ones leaving Crypto.com Arena stunned on Monday night, because with just 42 seconds left, the Kings had one final rush chance, and Philip Danault put a complete changeup on net, off-speed puck that fooled Stuart Skinner as LA went back ahead 6-5 and avoided overtime and really a potential wasted opportunity in Game 1. An utterly amazing night of hockey on Monday, and we can only hope that it lives up to that standard today, with, of course, a Golden Knights victory as the cherry on top. That'll just about wrap things up for today's show. Thank you, as always, for tuning in to VGK Today, and be sure to rate, review, and subscribe on your preferred podcast platform, as we'll be back every day throughout the Knights' 2025 Stanley Cup playoff run with new episodes. Tune in tomorrow as Dan Duba and I are back to recap Game 2 between the Knights and the Wild. Justin Russo signing off for VGK Today.